Welcome to another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line. Our guest this week, House Speaker Dean Cannon, with perspective from Florida Chamber President Mark Wilson. Mr. Speaker, almost halfway through the session, creating new jobs with double-digit unemployment, top priority. How are we doing?
So far, I think we've made great progress under the leadership of hopefully President Herodopoulos in the Senate, myself in the House, and Governor Scott. We've made some pretty aggressive moves, especially in the House. One of the things I'm proudest of is our deregulation package. Part of my basic economic philosophy is government doesn't exist to be an employer. Government exists to create an environment where private sector employers can grow their businesses and hire the unemployed. Right now, we've got a very high unemployment rate, and our deregulation package hopefully will lift the burdens and maybe save upwards of $30 million or more to Florida's small businesses and big businesses as they try to hire those folks who are looking for jobs.
And I would add to that, I think that clearly the voters sent a loud message last fall that job creation was number one. And so what we want to do here is we want to get 1 million people back to work in Florida. And so what people are used to is it used to be a popularity contest in Tallahassee. And now what we have are 3 leaders who have said we're going to create private sector jobs, not grow the government. And the Florida Chamber's on board. We think this is a great move.
And if I could add one other thing, the governor did a nice job of identifying 3 big obstacles to economic growth: taxation, regulation, and litigation. In the House, we're making strides in all 3, and hopefully by the end of session, we can say that we've really, moved the ball down the field on all 3.
Well, Mr. Speaker, with a focus on deepening Florida's role in the global economy, you participated this week in the Chamber's International Days. What's the significance of that?
Well, it's tremendous. In Florida, geographically, we are the gateway to South America. And ironically, also, Florida, more Canadians come to Florida than any other state. So we are poised right at the middle, if you will, of North America and South America. And with the opening or the expanding of the Panama Canal, I was really proud to support Governor Scott in deepening the Miami Deepwater Port. That traffic, Florida competes with South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, the whole eastern seaboard, and we also compete with Houston on the Gulf side. And knowing that increased traffic is coming is a great opportunity. I know Representative Lake Ray has done a lot of work in the House. We're trying very hard to position Florida to take maximal advantage of that increased traffic and expand trade with Colombia and as well in South Korea. A multitude of countries want to come to Florida. We want to make Florida a friendly place for international companies to come create their U.S. presence.
And I would add to that, I think that as we look to create jobs over the next 5 to 10 years, there is no better place to look than international trade. As a matter of fact, we have put out a goal in Florida of doubling Florida exports over the next 5 years. That will create 143,000 new jobs in Florida. And some of it doesn't cost any money. It simply means getting rid of duplicative regulations. So the seaport regulatory change this year is a great change that'll create jobs. And I think the legislature is doing a great job moving international trade down the road.
Okay, I will ask both of you this question, the so-called paycheck protection bill, which the Chamber has supported. It's passed out of the House. The unions, teachers, and others consider it a union-busting bill. Is it or isn't it, and why not?
To the contrary, frankly, it's empowering the workers who work in those unions. Previously, as a condition of joining a union, unions would say, you must let us automatically deduct your dues from your paycheck, and you have no real say in how we spend it. And so unions would engage in political activities that I think a lot of the union members, if they were allowed to say so without fear of reprisal, would say, hey, I don't support this or that position. Now we're requiring that if it's fine if unions want to use dues to engage in political activities, but they've got to get the consent of that worker to do so before they spend their hard-earned dollars to engage in a political activity that they might not have supported. I think it restores the rights of union workers. I think the union leadership is the one selling that message that, this is somehow a political payback or something like that. Nothing could be further from the truth. That money was earned by those workers, and they should have a say in how it gets spent.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that what we have here is a situation where the union bosses right now, apparently they don't want the union members to be able to have a choice in what happens with the union dues. So I think what we have here is, very simply, union members ought to have the choice about what happens with their union dues, whether they're used against their own best wishes for political purposes. So what the union bosses seem to be against here is choice for their own members. And what we're saying is simply let's let the union members choose whether they want to join the union, which if they want to, fine. And let's also decide what happens with let the union member decide what happens with those dues. That's all this is about.
All right, a final brief bottom line comment from both of you about the work still to do in this session, Mr. President.
Well, the bottom line, as we said at the beginning, is job creation. And everything we're doing this year is about creating private sector jobs, reducing taxes, reducing regulation, reducing litigation, as Speaker Cannon pointed out before. Very happy with where we are. I think with the leadership of the governor, with the speaker, with the president, we need to stay strong. We need to stay focused. And I think that Florida will right itself as long as we don't lose focus.
Mr. Speaker.
I would echo Mark's sentiments, and I would add this. It is a wonderful thing that we finally have in this tough economic time, a time of transition. Transition causes pain and difficulty. We've got three folks, the governor, the president of the Senate, and myself, who we share a common philosophy of empowering the private sector. We may have different approaches, and that's a healthy part of the process, but by having a common philosophy, we're going to work together to do what the voters asked us to do, which is get government out of the way and help get people back to work.
All right, for Florida Chamber President Mark Wilson and House Speaker Dean Cannon, we hope your bottom line is looking up.